Hello, Algebra 1 students. So in this section of notes today, we're going to be talking about factoring trinomials. So before we do that, we'll talk a little bit about what we've learned so far. That's going to be helpful for us in this section, and that would be the process of foiling. So we talk about foiling. All right, remember that FOIL is the first terms, and then the outside terms, inside terms, last terms. So we're multiplying all those together, and we combine like terms. Okay, and so one thing to notice is this 10 right here. This 10 is the sum of 8 and 2. So it's the sum of these two numbers here. And then 16 is the product of 8 and 2. Okay, notice how in this step right here, we're multiplying 8 and 2 together. Okay, so 8 and 2, or 16 is the product of 8 and 2. So when we're factoring trinomials, it's almost like we're going to be undoing the FOIL process. So factoring a trinomial with a coefficient of 1, so that means it's just x squared, there's no number out in front. Okay, what we're going to be doing is undoing the FOILing process. So we need to find two numbers whose product is the last term of the trinomial. Okay, so 16 up here. So we need to find factors of 16 then. Okay, and then we also need to find the two numbers whose sum is the middle term. Okay, so whose sum is the middle term. And we notice up here that 8 or 10 is the sum of 8 and 2, and 8 and 2 are factors, or factors of 16 are 8 and 2. All right, so let's go over an example and see what that looks like. So factoring a trinomial. So the first thing we're going to do is find factors of the last term. So we're going to find factors of 20. Okay, so that would be 1. So factors of 20. Okay, that would be 1 and 20. That would be 2, 10, and 5 and 4. All right, so looking for the factors of 20. And then we also need to find the sum of these factors. So remember, the sum is we're adding. So we're going to add the two factors together. So like for the first one, we'd have 1 plus 20. So that's just 21. Then we have 2 plus 10, which is 12. And then 4 plus 5, which is 9. Okay, so which of these sums is equal to the middle term of the trinomial? Okay, that middle term is 12. So this right here is the factor that we're looking for. All right, and how we would write that is x plus the first factor, so x plus 2, times x plus the second factor, which is 10. Okay, so that 2 is right here, and the 10 comes from right there. All right, so let's look at the next example. So here, again, factors of the last term, and be careful here because the last term is negative 15. Okay, it always carries that sign that's to the left of it or out in front. Okay, so the factors of negative 15 would be 1 and negative 15, negative 1 and 15, and then we also have 3 and negative 5, and 5 and negative 3. So again, just to be clear, factors, we're looking for numbers that multiply together to give us negative 15. All right, and now we're going to find the sum of these factors. So we're just adding the two factors together. 1 plus negative 15 is negative 14. Negative 1 plus 15 is positive 14. And then we have 3 minus 5, or 3 plus negative 5, is negative 2. And then 5 plus negative 3 is positive 2. Okay, and so we look at our middle term. Okay, so our middle term is negative 2. So the sum of the factors that equal the middle term is what we're looking for. Okay, so that would be that one right there. So then we could write this as x plus the first term, and then x plus the second term. But since it's negative 5, we could just write minus 5 down there. All right, two more examples. Okay, we're going to do the exact same process a few more times. All right, the last term in this trinomial is -6. So the factors of -6, again, numbers that multiply together to give us -6, are going to be 1 and -6. We're going to have -1 times +6. We'll have 2 times -3 and -2 times 3. Okay, so those are all the factors of -6. Now we're going to find the sum of these factors. So adding them together, all right, but if we add a negative, it's the same as subtracting. So 1 minus 6 is -5. -1 plus 6 is +5. And we have 2 minus 3, we have -1. And then we have -2 plus 3 is +1. All right, we look at that middle term. Okay, that middle term is 5. So we're looking for the sum of these factors. We're looking for the 5. +5 is that one. So our answer, okay, would be x minus 1, x plus 6. So x minus 1 times x plus 6. So if you find an answer and you're not sure whether it's correct or not, maybe you're not as confident in your answer, we can always check it. So checking it would just be foiling it out, okay? So we can do x times x, which is x squared, x times 6, which is 6x, -1 times x is -x, and then -1 times +6 is -6. All right, so we're looking for like terms. Okay, we only have that one x squared there. We look for our x's, so we have 6x here and -1x. So in total, we have 5 x's because 6 minus 1 is 5, and then -6. All right, and then I guess suppose I should have been using t's here, but we have t squared plus 5t minus 6, and we have x squared plus 5x minus 6. So those are in fact the same. And so this is our answer. All right, so let's move on to our last example here. All right, so again, factors of that last term. So factors of 5. That would be 1 and 5, and also -1 times -5. Okay, so because a negative times a negative is a positive, we have to include that as well. Okay, so the sum of these factors, 1 plus 5 is 6, and -1 minus 5 is -6. Okay, we look to see what our middle term is. Our middle term is -6, so this is the one we're looking for. And then our answer is going to be x minus 1 times x minus 5. Okay, and just to be clear here, that -1 comes from right there, and that -5 is coming from right there. So that's where we're getting these numbers right there. And then again, we should check this to make sure that we're right, and we can do that by foiling. So we have x minus 1 times x minus 5. First step, x times x is x squared. Then we have x times -5, which is -5x. -1 times x is -x. And finally, -1 times -5 is +5. All right, last step when we're foiling is making sure that we have we're combining like terms. So we only have that 1x squared there, and then we have -5x and -x. So that would be -6x and then +5. So just to confirm, okay, we have our x squared minus 6x plus 5 and x squared minus 6x plus 5. So x minus 1 times x minus 5 is in fact the answer.